Yo, 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 this is your boy Robin's Prime 35, aka Scotty to the T, and we are chilling and marinate like we always do. Yeah, man, we got some special stuff I'm about to do, but like I say, we're gonna get back to the hard games, and I'm pretty much getting back to the streaming, but we're gonna have some fun today. We're gonna have some fun what I'm about to do today. Today I am about to do some old school video game commercials. I've been wanting to do this for quite some time. I have been doing a couple other videos that I pretty much used to do back then, and then after that I have not really been doing it because the other commercial I had was some of the stuff I couldn't do, some of the stuff I just had to go through certain different countdowns, but it was pretty much was terrible at first, but this one's going to be a little bit more better. It's not going to be a countdown. These are going to be pretty much my favorites of commercials that used to be. There are some commercials that pretty much I've never heard of. Like for example, you have, I never owned the Sega Channel. A lot of stuff that was on the Sega Channel. Pretty much we have the Japanese commercials of the Sonic the Hedgehogs. You know, between your Streets of Rage, and the list goes on and on. But this is going to be my part one of this, and like I say, there's tons of it more that I'm definitely going to try to do. I hope I try my best not to miss a beat on some of these games that I'm really about to post. So we're going to have a jolly good time with this, and we're going to have fun. Leave a comments below on what y'all guys think. Best video game commercial of all time, because I go back to the old Nintendo, Genesis, Super Nintendos, Atari Lynx, man, I mean the old school black and white Game Boy, you know, everything goes. Games is pretty much we cherish. These are the games that the fans, as myself, we cherish these games, because you know, back then when you had a game that you could pretty much can play and you didn't have any updates, you didn't have any, you had to wait to the game developers to fix a game. Back in these days, these was games that was pretty much as ready, full throttle, ready to go. You had full games that was out there. You didn't, they took the time to pretty much to make these games. And game developers now with this generation, you don't get everything. Now you got to buy DLCs, and then you get a game, you paying $59.99 for a game, you paying with $60. You thinking that should be the full game that we should pay. But now with this generation, now back in the day, you didn't have that. There was games back when you get a new game, I say it was like $39 to $49. I think it all depends. But yeah, man, I mean, we got games out there that I'm gonna spit. These are old school commercial video games that I am about to post. So I'm gonna have a little fun with this, and I hope y'all enjoy this video that I'm about to do. I'm about to have a good time doing this on this platform. So subscribe to your boy. I very appreciate that. Let's get those subscribers going, you know, help a brother out. Give me some thumbs ups if you like the video. Pretty much give me a comment so what y'all think about these old school commercials that I'm about to post. So I hope y'all enjoy and have a good time, and I'm gonna be right there with y'all to react. So let's get on with this and let's have fun with this, shall we? Alrighty, okay, we are here. My first commercial that I'm really gonna post on this one is pretty much an old school classic that everybody remember. Now this is pretty much back from the Genesis and the Super Nintendo when they was competing. Now, you know, now those was the OG wars. You know, back then they had conflicts of everything that was going on. People didn't know if, you know, Super Nintendo was good or Super Nintendo was better, or, you know, Genesis was pretty much was better. But I think both off consoles was good in my point of view. The only thing that I didn't really care much about was I really think that the Genesis was, you know, you had this big giant fat system, It looked it sweet, looked it smooth, while the Super Nintendo was looking white with the little purple little buttons onto it. As far as the sounds, everything go, I have to say Super Nintendo really had the best sound, because they had the little Sony chip built into it. Genesis was pretty much don't get me wrong, Genesis was one of the bestest ones because that's the only thing we had back then. But this is a commercial that I'm going to bump, and this is what Sega, what Nintendo doesn't. I've not seen this commercial in quite some time, so let's go ahead and let's check out this commercial.
Genesis does
16-bit arcade graphics.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does
16-bit sports action.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis does
Get Joe Montana free, Pat Riley free, Buster Douglas free, Super Monaco GP free, or Columns free. What Nintendo don't? Buy a 16-bit Genesis system between now and October 31st and get an extra game free.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is one of the bestest commercials I think in all time. Because I mean, you had the Pat Riley, you had the Joe Montana, the James Buster Douglas, Ultra Beast, Collins. Man, I mean, like I used to have all these games. Back in the day when I first looked at Genesis, I saw this fat this big fat controller that I could not stand. I mean, it was bulky, it was pretty bulky, but it had material to it. So, like I say, I didn't have no problems with it until they came back with the 6-button controller. 6-button controller pretty much it felt natural in your hands, because back then when you start playing fighting games on Genesis, it didn't cut, because if you play when Street Fighter Champs Edition came out, you had to hit that start button. One start button to hit for the punch. You hit it again for the start button. You have the kick, all three of the punches, kicks and punches. But once they pretty much fixed that problem, the 6-button controller came out. It was a wonder. But yeah, I mean, Genesis is where it was at, man. Like I say, they was the OG compatible. They still going to be OG to this day. I mean, it's almost like, they cahoots together, just like, kind of like saying like the Bloods and Crips, was hooped together. So, like I say, they OG. Genesis is pretty much is where it's at. And the Super Nintendo is pretty much as good too. Like I say, I didn't have no competitors between those two consoles. That was one of the best OG consoles of all time, and they still are to this day. All right, here's another one that pretty much was good to enjoy. This is a commercial. This is the Nintendo 64's Mario 64. I played a little bit. Of this game. Until this day, never beat the game. I've never beat this game. Never. Now my cousin, oh man, he beat this game with ease. And I remember I let him borrow my Nintendo 64 because I had tons of other consoles I was playing. And he played it. I have to say he probably beat the game in less than maybe a week. Maybe a week or a month or something like that. So he pretty much really nailed it out of the park. But I was having issues with the game because I guess I'm not used to the 3D type, going with the 3D with the game. So pretty much everything with Mario 64, but it was one of the bestest games of all time. Don't get me wrong, it was one of the bestest games that they had. That Mario, you see Mario on a 3D point. Most of the time you see Mario that's pretty much is like on a 2D, side score, same thing like always. But this is the first time we ever seen this, and like I say, Japan pretty much put this all together, and I really enjoyed this game, and like I say, I still play it. I still have it. And but here's a commercial though, so everybody will enjoy this commercial if everybody can remember it.
You want to see something really cool? Check this out. What am I, a monkey?
See, I've never got a chance to do the one with the wings on it.
Go anywhere you want to go. Do anything you want to do. Here we go. This place is really sweet.
Right. So, I mean, like all the stuff that they had, with the with the N64, with that controller, that you have. Matter of fact, I still have mine. I still have mine. Kind of got it wrapped up though, if you can see right here. Same way, you had your little thing right here. That was like one of the awesome part, that we seen. And you had the pads, you had the C buttons that was all the way up to here. That was pretty neat. And you had the B and A buttons, you start button over here, and then right after this button over here, you had the Z button, that little Z button back there. Then you had your memory card slots, and you also had your rumble pack. The rumble pack, that was like one of the bestest ones ever, because certain different controllers, I don't really think, none of these controls didn't really have a rumble pack. I have to say N64 was the very first that came out with the rumble pack. And that was one of the bestest things that ever happened in N64. N64 was always one of my bestest ones, and there's some pretty good games that I like on there. But if you get your hands on some Japanese games, they pretty much is always going to be 10 times more better than anything. But yeah, man, that is Mario 64, and one of the goodest, still one of the bestest games out there. And today, if you get your hands on that, well, still give that a shot. I mean, it's still fun to play. All right, this is another one that I pretty much really enjoy the most. Now this is an old 90s commercial of when Street Fighter 2 came out on the Super Nintendo. It's a short ad. I still remember this commercial to this day. When they didn't really show too much of the game, but they know that Street Fighter was coming out on the Super NES, and that right there put the nation by storm. A lot of people thought that the game, because it was in arcades for a good long period of time, but we knew that the games was going to come out on home consoles. It was just a matter of time, and they was going to make it the way it was going to look. Like I said, it won't be like the arcade, but I have to say, pretty much in my point of view, the Super Nintendo Street Fighter, to me, had the best sound. The music and everything sounded better, especially that GAL music. God, the GAL music, the Sagat music, Balrog's music. I mean, like I say, they did a lot of stuff on the music and the sound on the Super Nintendo. Genesis was okay, because that's the only one we pretty much had at the time when Genesis first came out. Genesis, they pretty much kind of made that like a little bit like the arcade tradition on that one. But I'd say as far as the sound, everything was stereotype, crisp, clear. I have to say Super Nintendo was like one of the bestest ones, I think, and my point of view. But let's further ado, let's get on with this commercial, shall we? Yeah. That was kind of a pretty much was a quick commercial, because I guess they just letting you know the game was going to pretty much come out. But pretty much in my point of view, that was like one of the bestest Street Fighters that was ever made on the Super Nintendo, and I'm always going to still give that a thumbs up on that one. That was another one of my favorite videos of all time. Alrighty, here we got another one for the treats, baby. We're going back to the NES. This is an old commercial of Double Dragon 2: The Revenge. Oh man, this again, you put a masterpiece on these games. I mean, because like Double Dragon 2: The Revenge was like one of my very first Double Dragon games. When I had Double Dragon 1, because all Double Dragon games gonna be cult classics. You can't get mad on that. I mean, Double Dragon between 1, 2, and 3, they're legend. They're all legends. Double Dragon 2, I remember watching the commercial on this one, and I remember I begged my mother can I have this game? Because games at the time, I don't think it was, it was expensive to them, because, back then, we wasn't working, we were still, kids, you know, little kids. And so I have to say pretty much, I say the game was about, what, $39 or something like that, you know, whatnot. Um, but yeah, I mean, you know, pretty much the game was legit. I love the boards, especially when you get to the end of it, when you go to that little some kind of mansion or whatever, some castle, whatever. And the part what made me mad was, I think, with the invisible blocks, and then you face your shadow dragon. I guess you face your shadow. I think he was like at the end, pretty much face your guy, and you had to really throw him off to really kind of beat him. And that was a couple times I never couldn't beat him, but when I got the chance to beat him, I was happy. I was excited when I first beat this game. Like I say, this game is always going to be a classic to my heart, in my point of view. But let's get on with this commercial.
Double Dragon 2, The Revenge for your Nintendo Entertainment System.
Wow, this commercial's so
Best
old.
action game ever from Acclaim.
Wow, I mean that commercial is still old, man, but it's still engaged in my heart, man. I love that commercial. I mean, I loved every minute of it. Double Dragon 2: The Revenge is like one of my favorite games of all time. Like I say, if anybody get their hands on the game, like I say, it's still a cult classic. I think you can still get the game now on Virtual Console now. I think the PlayStation and the Xbox you can download the game as well. So if you ever get a chance to go back to memory lane, live that moment, you know. Like I say, the game is still fun of all time. So if you want to play the game, give it a go and check it out. Alrighty, this is one that I played, but I not played. I played a lot of airplane games like on Nintendo. I played Top Gun. I played Afterburner 2. And I played Hero something that was on the Super Nintendo, Wing Pilot. But I've never played Captain Skyhawk, Seahawk, where it is. Never played it. Never played it before. I know it's one of the bestest. They say it was one of the bestest airplane games, and like I say, Top Gun and Top Gun 2 was like one of the favorites. Now, as far as sometime on Top Gun 1, I can't never land the plane. Pretty much is like the thing of the AVGN, when he made a joke out of it. You know, he couldn't never land that plane. And you know, that I pretty much had a kick out of that one, because I know I never couldn't land that plane myself, and it was pretty much as hard. But here's a game preview of if everybody remember, that's in memory lane. Captain Skyhawk or whatever how you call it. Okay, let's give that a go.
It's the flight of your life, Captain Skyhawk for your Nintendo. The only air combat game with a spy satellite view of the action. More weapons, more missions over more terrain than any other flying ace. Captain Skyhawk for your Nintendo.
Alrighty, I might have to really have to play that. Now don't get me wrong. Now the way it looks, you would think Captain Skyhawk would look a little bit better with Top Gun. You would think Top Gun would make like this. Now this is something that you can maneuver and do stuff, you know. I'd say Top Gun could have been this instead of the first person shooter, because that's how the first Top Gun was, the first person shooter games that was out there. And you know, I have to say I've not really played Captain Skyhawk. Like I say, I might have to give it a shot. I might have to just play it, or I might just have to put it on one of my videos to go back on memory lane to have a good time with this game. 'Cause like I said, I've never really played it before, never got a chance to play it. But like I say, hopefully one of these days I might end up playing this game and you know, pretty much get a kick out of this one. But this is our number collection of old school games, and Captain Skyhawk was pretty much one of them in my favorite collection. Alrighty, we're going back to the meat and potatoes, baby. We're going back to the old school of handheld games. Now, I know everybody had a handheld game. I know because I'm old. I know everybody had a Tiger handheld game. I know everybody had Tiger Watch. they people used to play. And I remember a long time ago, I had a collection of Tiger games, like the Double Dragons, the Castlevania 2. Man, the list goes on and on with Tiger games. And like I say, they kind of irritate with all that ding 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 ding. You know, they pretty much play. Hopefully one of these days I'm gonna go back in time and I'm gonna post this on my channel. One of these days, I don't know when, but one of these days I'm gonna have a old school Tiger game. And I know people are gonna say, why would you want to do that? Because I love it. I love old school. That's just what I am. Today with this commercial right here, this is one of my favorites handheld games I think I used to own. Bo Jackson's Football and Baseball. I remember the football game that they had on handheld games. I remember a long time ago, my stepfather pretty much had a Tiger game himself, and he pretty much had the football game, and the football game was fun, man. You just because with these games, you're using your imagination. You're using your imagination on these games. Like I say, they're not going to look like, you know, with your Game Boys and your Game Gears. You know, when we had games like this, we use our imagination to play these games. And when the football came in, you just act like you throwing the ball. It shows a little ball, and you just catch it and you run, or you do a run and play. Same thing goes with the Bo Jackson game. You know, but he had his handheld game was combined together. Like we never seen this before in history. We had one that you had football here, and you flip it around, you had baseball. And you were thinking, man, I wish we had all games like that when in handheld, because like then we can take that thing wherever we go. It was pretty much fun back in my day, and I love it to this day. Let's get on with the Bo Jackson commercial, shall we? With this Tiger handheld game, reversible.
Who knows baseball and football?
Who knows baseball? Who knows football? Who knows
Bo Jackson baseball and football. Either way you look at it, it's a winner. No one knows football and baseball better than Bo Jackson, and no one knows LCD video games better than Tiger.
Wow. Going back in time, brother. Man, Bo knows. If anybody knows about Bo Jackson, man, Bo Jackson was one of the best football players, best baseball players of all time. I mean, back in the day when you had the Bo Knows campaign, and because Bo Jackson was he had a gift back in those days, man. I mean, when he was playing back in the day when it was the Los Angeles Raiders, and you couldn't stop him. And I know when the Japanese pretty much made Tecmo Bowl, they knew who Bo Jackson was. They knew exactly who he was because they made the dude fast as I don't know get out. And that's what he was in real life. He was quick. Baseball, he would do things that nobody would never do. But he was one of my favorite icons back in the 90s and then 80s. But Bo Jackson was where it was at, man. And this game is one of my bestest ones of all time, and I remember owing this game. I wore it out to this day, and that's another one of my favorite picks of this game. And like I say, Tiger is always want to be one of the bestest games of all time. Alrighty, we have another one here that we're really gonna post up. This is right here is, you know, I'm in a big giant cluster. This is the Sega 32X. I remember buying this, and you know, I mean, I thought everything would look different, look better. Don't get me wrong. Some of the stuff looked good in the games because you can play between your 32Xs with your Sega CDs. And I remember back when AVGN made a comment between the Sega alone hooked up with the Genesis. You got the Sega hooked up with the Sega CD. Then you got this mushroom thing on top of it. And I remember that little comment that he said that whole thing was on life support. And it was, because I didn't even know you had to have so many cords to hook up all this stuff. I mean, you know, you would think the Genesis will have its own power to make that thing work with the power. This right here has a power by itself, so that means you had the power by itself with this mushroom thing. Then and the piece that if it didn't work, if you play the game, there's nobody there. There's a little piece, like a little wire that you hook onto it that's connected to the Genesis and cooked on top of the 32X. I mean, it was a cluster. I mean, you know, but back in the day, it was pretty much fun because a lot of people were saying that if you hook this thing up, it can mess up your Genesis. It can tear it up. I didn't really know if that was true or not. I never had no problem out of that. But yeah, but I mean, it was kind of a failure back then. I guess they were just trying to keep up when Super Nintendo was trying to do its thing, and it was getting more better. And then after the PlayStation started kicking along, and I guess the Genesis was trying to stay alive to add more stuff with the Sega CD and the 32X, and the 32X, it failed miserably. But they had a couple of good games on there that I really enjoy of it, so I can't be wrong. But here we go. We're about to play a commercial of the 32X.
Since the beginning of time, mankind has striven to double and redouble his powers.
A mysterious machine has appeared in homes across America.
All right, baby.
Increase the power of the unit 40 times.
32.
Oh my God.
Welcome to the next one.
You fill your drink? I don't have a drink. Uh-oh.
32X Genesis engine, so simple.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, they thought that was the best thing that ever happened. And yeah, it failed. I mean, it failed bad. You know, I mean, they had a couple other games that was on there was good, don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, the Knuckles had his own game. That was pretty cool. There was a couple of the few games they pretty much had for the 32X. 32X was okay, but it just didn't have that it factor to me. And you had too much stuff going on in the back. I mean, you know, that mushroom thing, because back in the day they had the 32X, and let me see if I can remember. The 32X was supposed to call back in the day the Necktoon. Necktoon had his own it had his own console back then. How come they couldn't do that? They could have just did another console, put it as the Necktoon, and the Necktoon was the 32X. So that means you have your own the cartridges that you have with that mushroom thing. All they had to do is plunk plunk, pop that bad boy in, and everything was a go. But they decided to, like, you know, I don't know if they wanted to save money or what they was wanting to do. I don't know what was going on, but the Necktoon would have survived, and you didn't have to have nothing that had to be on life support with that poor Genesis was. And the only thing you had to do was your own console by itself. If they would have did that, I guarantee you they probably would have been successful, but it didn't happen. They kept with the mushroom thing. It didn't last too long. They didn't have a lot of games that much on the thing. The system failed, but all in all, it was one of my favorite commercials at that time, and I still cherish that to this day. All right. We're getting back. We're getting to the meat and potatoes now. This commercial right here was one of the first promo of, you know, what really made me the most want to own when I had my Super Nintendo, and I was pretty much excited. Never got the game, but my cousin got it before I did. He bought the game before I did, and this was Killer Instinct, baby. This was Killer Instinct on the Super Nintendo, and oh boy, you talking about it. It didn't look like the arcade edition, but like I say, when you use that imagination, you got the arcade's coming home to you. It's going home, so you ain't got to worry about putting quarters or anything, because, you know, arcade games was pretty much where it was when you put quarters in machines and you play them. Well, this one right here came out in the 90s, and I remember the cartridges came in. It was a black cartridge, and it also came with the Killer Instinct soundtrack I remember it. It came with the soundtrack with all the sounds that was on that CD. And I remember my cousin had that. He had this great boombox. It was kind of like a big boombox that, the ones that you can take the speakers apart. And he had this boombox, and I remember I used to listen to all the CDs, and sometimes he'll let me borrow it, or sometimes he'll make duplicates out of it, because back then we didn't know how to make duplicates off of CDs. Back then we pretty much just put them on the cassette deck, and we had a CD. You can hit the record button and then just play it on the tape deck. But that was awesome with that package, man. I mean, the cartridges was black. It was a black cartridges, and it was, and you had the soundtrack of the game with all the characters of the game. But Killer Instinct was one of the bestest ones on the Super Nintendo, bar none. I really had a good time. My cousin gave me an ass whooping, because he would do these combos, the ultras, and like I say, Killer Instinct will keep going on to this day, man. And I was kind of happy that they decided to bring Killer Instinct back on the Xbox, and that right there made me want to buy an Xbox, just because when that game came out, and I said, oh snap, they redid it. And the good thing about this game, the game was free. It was free. You didn't have to pay for it. It was free. The only thing you had to pay most, if it was different characters, then yeah, you had to pay for them. Cause stuff that they unlocked, and you had to pay the DLC characters. You know how that roll. But when the game actually came out, it was free. Everybody else could have get the hand again. The game is still free to this day. But as far as it was updated on certain things, because I remember how it used to look when it wasn't updated. So it looks better than it has before, and more of the characters into the game. So no further ado, let's go ahead and watch this commercial and go back to memory lane. Check it out. Oh man. Oh my god, that brings back so much memories. Pretty much with the game, like I say, man, Super Nintendo can make their sounds, the music, the tracks, it's always gonna sound better with the Super Nintendo. Nothing can beat that title. I mean, you go different between the Genesis and Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo is going to win with the sound. Now, if anybody agrees with me, that's just my opinion. But I have to say, Super Nintendo sound plays good, and then when the Killer Instinct sound came out, whoa! I mean, the beats, it just keeps going and getting better and better. But this one was one of my favorite commercials of all time, and I still love this commercial to this day forward. Alrighty, we're going back to 1991, and this right here is, now this is back when we didn't have tape traders, we didn't have internet. Back in those days, we didn't need it. I remember we used to go to grocery stores and stuff like this, and we used to purchase magazines. Now, magazines was the ones that give us codes to know what's going on, what's the strategy. And the favorite magazine I'm going to definitely going to post is Nintendo Power. We used to own this magazine. My mother used to pretty much would keep us, occupied, and we, like me, I was a gamer. My brother, he was a sort of a gamer, not a hardcore gamer than I was, but he will pretty much my mother would pretty much describe Nintendo Power, and Nintendo Power had so much stuff back then. I mean, we had stuff that was going to come out. Now some of you had false information. Some of the stuff you had good information. I remember, back then when they all talked about Super Mario 3 was going to come out, nobody never knew. You had to watch The Wizard. That was one of my favorite movies of all time. When Super Mario 3 first came out with that place that went to was it Video Armageddon, and they had like the kid that pretty much was going to play, because when you first watch the movie, you had this one guy, he'll say, we have never ever played you will never see a game, you will never play this game before, or you never heard of it. So we was thinking, okay, there's a new game, and we didn't know what it was. Now, I have not went to the theaters and seen this. Now, I saw this movie on VHS, and that was one of the favorite ones, I think, of all time. And then when Mario 3 came out, that did it right there. That just blew my mind. I'm like, Mama, I want this. And I think to the day she bought it. I don't know if it was Christmas or birthday. I can't remember when she bought the game. But Nintendo Power pretty much showed a lot of stuff that we know of our childhood. You had the posters. Posters really came with it of different. You had Mario, Zelda jokes. It was pretty much a kids of news. It was video game news instead of like grown folks. They had to have newspapers to know what's going on, or TV. This one right here was pretty much our news of video games as if we was kids, and things was coming out, what game, what puzzles, what strategies, what cheat codes, and they also had they had different video shows that had stuff like was it what's the name of that show that used to come on, was it Video Power? Now, he pretty much did a lot of stuff that was on there a long time ago. That was one of my favorite shows, and he did a lot of stuff of that show, different codes, strategies, and the fans will pretty much have to channel him. If he can beat them, they can channel him, and then he can tell you what's going on. If he doesn't know, they may know, or they can give it up and they can beat him. But there's a couple episodes I think I've seen they beat him, and then plus when you watch the show, you had these little obstacle courses that you have to pick. You can go, you're on a shopping spree, you can pick all kinds of Nintendo games, and you just picking them up, sticking them on your chest or your back or your head. And then they had a bonus. There was a bonus that nobody knew what the bonus game was, and we would know it, but they didn't know it. And they picked a bonus game, and they get like so many money out of that. That was one of my favorite shows of all time back in memory lane. But Nintendo Power was one of our video game news, and let's go ahead and watch that and see if we can remember this. Wow. I wish I could have found a little more Nintendo videos. I know there's a lot of Nintendo Power Magazine videos out there. I have to really find some more. But yeah, man. Don't worry about those numbers. Those numbers don't exist. That's pretty old and really old. So don't worry about that. I might have to edit that out. But yeah, man, Nintendo Power is like one of the best ones of all time, and that was one of my other first commercials. There's plenty of Nintendo Power Magazine commercials there. Check them out. All-time favorites, what I like. Alrighty, all right, we got 3 more videos we about to do, and then that means this is the end of part 1. We'll definitely do another one of part 2 very, very soon. All right, this is another commercial that I have found that pretty much I like the most. This is one of my favorite Super Nintendo games of all time. I'm bumping a lot of Super NES games. Like I say, there's more to come. But this one right here is pretty much was one of my favorite games of all time, Super Metroid. Metroid was one of my favorite ones back in the NES, and it still is to this day, and they still making tons and tons of Metroid games now. Samus. But like I say, Super Metroid was one of the bestest ones of all time, bar none. The music, the sound, the creepy. Now you talking about that game was like one of the scariest games ever, because you know when you walk in part, the board gets black, and then sometimes you got these monsters and you got these crazy creatures coming out and stuff like that, and you just shoot them up. The music and everything sounds so crystal clear of this one. Metroid is always going to be one of my favorite games of all time, and here it is with this commercial, short little commercial. So here we go.
Before Nintendo came out with Super Metroid, we wanted to make sure it was the most intense Metroid battle ever. So we thought we'd see how Killer here would fare against it. Ready, boys? That's 24 megs worth of weapons, worlds, and weirdos old Killer's up against. Nintendo's biggest game ever. He's a big boy. He can handle it. Well, let's see how he did. Ship it! Super Metroid, only on the Super NES.
Oh man, he pretty much krilled it over. Yeah, he was a big dog, badass, and then a few minutes later he just turned to a baby little chihuahua and he croaked. Oh man, that was funny. I still remember that one. Metroid was pretty much one of the favorite ones. This was one of my favorite commercials to this date. Super Metroid was one of my all-time favorite games of all time, and like I say, it was quick, fast-paced. When you first start off the game, it starts off with a little slow start. After you start getting more farther the game, it gets more better. Game gets more better and better as it go. But yeah, that was one of my favorite games of all time. If you ever get hands on playing Metroid, it's still out there for fun. Just give it a go, man. It's one of the bestest ones I think of all time. Alrighty, we got 2 more to go, and we're going to keep it going, keep it strong, because I'm having fun doing this, man. I'm having a blast. Alrighty, here's one that I found the most that's out there. This is Sonic and Knuckles. I've never really owned the game. Now I remember buying the game. I didn't really buy it brand new. I think I bought the game at a pawn shop. And the cool thing about this game, the game came in cartridges, but it was a funny cartridges. Like it had a little slot, and I never knew what that little slot door means at the time. So that means you can play Knuckles on Sonic 2 and 3. So at the time when I first saw Knuckles, I thought Knuckles was a bad guy, you know, even though he was my dude, you know, Iguana, you know, got the little dreadlocks going on, you know. When I first saw him, I thought he was a Jamaican, you know. I thought he was a straight Jamaican, you know. I was like, okay, we got a Jamaican hedgehog, okay. But watching this, and I remember playing Sonic and Knuckles, and yeah, I mean, this was one of my favorite games of all time, and I remember renting the game so much. And I used to use Knuckles all the time. At the time, I used to play the whole game, and I didn't really use Knuckles at the time because Sonic had more. His level was different between Knuckles was, but you know, Knuckles. The only thing about Knuckles can do was he can climb on walls. He can still sprint. He can fly. Way better than Tails, because Tails, he can fly, but I say Knuckles can fly, but it seems like Knuckles can float, because it's like he can just poof, and he can't stay in the air too long. Once he gets down, he's starting to go down, so he can bypass on certain things, which that was pretty cool. But yeah, man, this was one of my favorite commercials I think I like so far in the Genesis. And like I say, they tried their best to keep Sega going with another character in the Sonic universe, because you know, Knuckles is the only one we knew, and then you know, Sonic was just only one by himself, and then Knuckles came into fray. So I'm thinking like, man, they're coming out with more new characters every time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and watch this commercial.
Sega presents one champion of good, one pawn of evil. It's Sonic and Knuckles. Not only is it the greatest Sonic game ever, it also comes with lock-on technology. Plug in Sonic 2 and use Knuckles to play in a whole new way. Plug in Sonic 3 for 34 megs of power, new worlds, and surprise endings. Sonic and Knuckles with lock-on technology, only on Sega Genesis. Sonic and Knuckles, other game cartridges, and Sega Genesis, each sold separately.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean that right there just pretty much just bring back hella memories. Back then, and I remember because the Genesis boxes with the game, because used to be the little case. Now they're coming out in boxes, so I guess they thinking, man, we wasting money. We wasting money on these on the cases, so we're just going to bring them out in boxes. But playing Sonic and Knuckles and stuff and going through the port, I've never, especially on Sonic 3, I've never seen the special board, like the when you go to the board when you chase Eggman, when you turn into, because Knuckles can get the Chaos Emeralds too, and he can also could turn to Super Knuckles as well. And you know, I've never got to that part, never seen it. Um, I don't know if I think it was Sonic 3 or if it's Sonic 2. I think it was Sonic 3, the one you had to go to that part. Sonic and Knuckles had the exact same thing. Like I say, I never really got a chance to unlock none of those Chaos Emeralds because trying to collect those things was kind of a mess. Same way it was with the very first Sonic, and it took me a little minute to get those Chaos Emeralds because you had to turn this way, go to this part, go to this way, make sure it don't flip over, and it was very nauseated because you turn around, do all this stuff to try to get those things, and you try to bust the blocks, you know, try to get the blocks to crack those things to get in that emerald to grab it. And the same thing with Sonic 2. Well, Sonic 2, you just get the rings to get the Chaos Emeralds, just to make sure you don't lose your rings. And Sonic 3, you just get those little, you have to hit those blue balls. Okay, no, I'm not trying to be nasty or anything, guys. But you know what I'm talking about. You know, you got the red balls. Red balls is pretty much bad, and you got the blue balls that you got to pretty much was hit. So yeah, man. Sonic and Knuckles was pretty much one of my favorite ones of all time, and I still definitely treasure that game to this day. Alrighty, here's my last video of the day. Hopefully we'll do some more. We'll make some more of these games, man. I'm having so much fun, man. I can't stop myself. This right here is pretty much another one of my old ones. This is pretty much was the Atari Lynx. Never had one. Never had one. Somebody I knew in a neighborhood that who owned it one, and I remember the Atari Lynx pretty much had 6 batteries, and I remember it was 6 because I remember to this day you had 3 AA batteries on the left, 3 on the right, and the only thing about this one was the handheld game was pretty big. It was pretty big, and you had a nice color screen. It didn't look like, you know, like the way the other ones look like, but you know, because like I said, I stuck with my Game Gear, and Game Gear is pretty much was one of the bestest ones. It wasn't that really big, but it was good to do whatever. Same thing with the Lynx. I mean, I heard they say you can watch TV on that thing. You have to buy a little TV thing. Same thing like the Game Gear was. I guess they was trying to, this commercial, they was trying to compete with the Game Boy Color. No way they couldn't beat the Game Boy Color. I mean, Atari Lynx beat that with ease. I mean, like, you know, Game Boy Color, yeah, they just put a little color here and there just to make it look good. But the Lynx looked like something that you watching it, and you know that right there. But it was pretty good. But I'm surprised that the console could have lasted, but it didn't. The console didn't really last. It really didn't even last that long. But it was one of my favorite ones that I enjoyed. And here's the commercial of the Nintendo Lynx.
You gonna buy the same old game, boy? Atari Lynx,
boy?
Video arcade with the biggest screen for full color attraction, stereo sound and 16-bit action, and more games for total satisfaction.
Okay, I remember that.
Blow you away. Lynx, more fun and games from Atari.
Damn, I didn't realize. I didn't even know how much it was. Damn, it's $100. But yeah, man. I mean, like the Lynx is pretty much was where it's at. Like I say, Atari was trying to pretty much was kind of make a comeback on certain things, because Atari wasn't gonna be left in the dust. They're gonna be thinking, oh, we got, you know, the 2600. 2600 was one of my favorite ones. The 78 and the 52. If I said anything wrong, kind of fix me, leave me some comments on that. I think it's a 52, 78, and a 2300. the 32, something like that. And those are like one of the bestest ones back in our childhood because that's how we can remember. But I know they thinking, okay, if Nintendo can make a handheld, so can we. And Atari came out with this Lynx because Atari came out with a lot of stuff. I mean, between this one, they came out with Jaguar, and Jaguar was another failure. I heard a lot of games that didn't work. I heard that they had the cartridges worked, but they said the CD was having some malfunctions. Like it had a lot of bugs into the CD point. There's a lot of CDs that didn't really work that well. But I've not really played Atari Lynx. I had my hands on it when another neighbor or somebody who owned it, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, it sounded loud. It was pretty good and crispy on the sound, which it was okay. I never had no problem with the game or the gameplay. They had like Ninja Gaiden. They had all kinds of other games that's on there. I saw they had Toki. I see a little game, Monkey Game. That was a pretty cool game. But yeah, I mean, this is one of my favorite commercials. I know there's plenty of commercials out there with Atari Lynx out there. So like I say, this was one of my favorite ones of all time, and I enjoy it. Alrighty, man. Had fun. I wish there was more I can spit. There's a lot more I can spit, man. I mean, there's a lot more I can put out there for y'all guys. But I just want to have a good time doing this. Like I said, I've always been wanting to have some video games stuff. Like I say, this is just going to be part 1 of this. We're definitely going to do a part 2 and then keep going, etc. Just go back to memory lane because this is what my platform is pretty much represent old school. And, you know, we going back to memory lane. That's just the way I roll with the old school games. And I still love it, still cherish the old school games. I still play the old school games. And that's never going to stop because that's going to be all the way into my heart that this is what I love to do with the old school games. Like I say, I still play new school, don't get me wrong, but old school is always the generation of it. This is when it was games, when it was gamers, and we used to play so much of it. And yeah, but I'm definitely going to go ahead and start playing some more. I mean, watching some more of these commercials. Like I said, there's a ton of commercials I want us to put out there. But I don't have a license to all this stuff. So, you know, so this is what I'm going to pretty much going to say. So hopefully, you know, YouTube don't really cut me out or anything. I hope not. Fingers crossed. But this is just something I cherish in memory lane and, you know, something I like to really enjoy of doing. Alrighty, this is your boy RP35 signing out of here. Y'all take care and have a very blessed day. Peace.